Raider Nation, what's going on? You're watching the Raiders Report. We got some major Jimmy Garoppolo rumors to be able to uncover here on today's show. Garoppolo walked into the Raiders Stadium today, at Allegiant Stadium, and all expectations were that he was going to speak to the media. He was going to put his name, pen, paper, down on the dotted line. He was going to be officially signed by the Las Vegas Raiders, but that didn't happen. Garoppolo apparently agreed to terms of a 3-year, $67.5 million deal with $34 million fully guaranteed. That deal never got signed. So as of right now, it is the new league year. The Las Vegas Raiders do not have a starting quarterback right now. The plan is, which I will say, the Raiders are still hopeful that they can get a deal done with Garoppolo. And the deal still might end up going down at 3 years. 67.5, $34 million guaranteed. But I was told by a very good source today that there was a hiccup. When you walk into the facility, when you show up and all expectations are for you to sign that contract, for you to speak to the media, and that doesn't happen, that means there was a major hiccup. Garoppolo was supposed to speak. Over 2.5 hours went by. He is expected to speak tomorrow. But if there's one thing I've learned from covering this Raiders team, anything is freaking possible, man. So my question to all of you out there is this. Do you think the Raiders still sign Jimmy Garoppolo to be the starting quarterback? Give me a Y for yes, or I want you to give me an N for no. And you know what? This is a big question. This is a huge, impactful question, not only for this season, but also next season. So go down in the comments right now. You're about to get hit with that YouTube ad break. Let me know Y for yes, or I want you to type that N for no. I'm going to say yes, right? Like, I know I'm making this video, but there is still a little bit of a doubt. I believe that Dave Ziegler, Josh McDaniels, they want this deal to get done. But there should be a little bit of a concern here of what exactly happened. There's a lot of theories out there. There's a lot of speculations. There's a lot of rumors of why didn't Garoppolo sign that dotted line? Why is that contract not ultimately going down? When you look at the contract details of Garoppolo, he was expected to make $16.3 million this season. He also was expected to make $28 million next season. However, there were some contradicting reports of what the Garoppolo contract actually was. So Spotrac, who is a reliable source, essentially was reporting that you could get out of Garoppolo's deal after 1 year. Over the Cap was reporting that they couldn't get out of Garoppolo's contract after 1 year. So if you're Jimmy G, you're his agent, what if you went into that room and you're like, what's my deal? What's the contract? If you're not able to negotiate on how much money you're actually willing to make, that can really divvy it up. I'm also going to give you a report of what is at least being thrown out there, but I'm going to tell you that after today's show sponsor. Huge shout out to Athletic Greens. They are sponsoring today's show, and if you're trying to keep your happy gut healthy, then listen the heck up right now. I take AG1 by Athletic Greens literally every day. Get comprehensive and convenient daily nutrition at athleticgreens.com/chatsports. I gave AG1 a try because I wanted immune system support and wanted a supplement that actually tastes great. I take AG1 in the morning. It makes me feel ready to take on my day. My grandma always said the early bird gets the worm, and AG1 inspires and motivates me to get as many worms as possible every day. AG1 really helps me getting my day started, getting out of bed, especially after some of our watch parties. It's not easy. I'm a person who likes and needs a routine, so AG1 helps me stick to my healthy routine. Wake up early, take my AG1, take my dog Chuck out for a walk, hit the gym before work. I trust Athletic Greens. I just mix one small scoop of AG1 with water, drink it first thing in the morning. I also like it because it costs less than $3 a day. It's pretty good if you ask me. It's a really effective daily habit with the highest quality source ingredients. If a comprehensive solution is what you need from your supplement routine, then Athletic Greens is giving you a free 1-year supply of vitamin D and 5 free travel packs with your first purchase. Go to athleticgreens.com/chatsports. That's athleticgreens.com/chatsports. Check it out. Link's going to be in the comments and in the description of today's video. So one of the stories that is being reported right now around Garoppolo, which I will say is not confirmed, but it's also not unconfirmed as well. And this is the example that I am going to give every single person out there, okay? Because as a real-life human being, I do think sometimes you have to be able to make these connections from football to real life. This is the best example I can give. Imagine you're watching Judge Judy. Some of you are like, Mitch, what the hell are you talking about? Imagine you're watching Judge Judy. Person right here says, hey, are you guilty of this crime? The person over here goes, I plead the fifth. If you hear somebody say, I plead the fifth, what's your initial thought? Kind of sounds like this might actually be true. From the initial reports that are out there right now, there is a chance that Jimmy Garoppolo failed his physical. I'm not saying that he did fail his physical. I'm not saying that he didn't fail his physical. But when the Raiders media was asked today on whether or not they would be able to confirm whether or not he failed his physical, they flat out said, we're not going to say anything. They said, I am not going to comment. I mean, that's a story in its own right. So you have Garoppolo, who did not show up to his press conference. You have Jimmy Garoppolo, who the media had said that we're not going to comment on the physical. We're not going to comment why he didn't show up, why he didn't sign the paper. There is a lot of rumors around this potential story, and I'm sorry. When it comes to Garoppolo, who has been as injured as he has been, there's a part of me that wonders, did he actually fail his physical? And if he did, the Raiders have to renegotiate that contract, and it's going to be a lot less for Jimmy G. Does that mean Jimmy G doesn't want to play for this team anymore? A lot of question marks. But our job here is when there's a story, this is not news. I'm going to tell you that right now. It is merely a rumor. But this is a story nonetheless here amongst the Raiders. So if you love this team, if you're also the type of person that likes stories like this, the speculation, hit that subscribe button, turn on those notifications. If you're watching us live right now, huge shout out to everyone who has continued to stay tuned in to all the crazy stuff that we do here on this show. Because I get it. This show is, it's a wild freaking show, man. There's no doubt about it. So before you go anywhere, subscribe and tune in. The next story that I want to talk about is around Aaron Rodgers, because Aaron Rodgers has said that he wanted to play for the New York Jets on McAfee. That deal is not finalized yet either. But according to Jeff Howe, who from The Athletic, is also reporting this. The Raiders signed Jimmy Garoppolo only after the Raiders and the Green Bay Packers couldn't come to a trade agreement. That tells you, Aaron Rodgers yesterday flat out said, I would have loved to join a former teammate. He was talking about Devontae Adams. When you hear of the Vegas odds out there, they were minus 500 for Rodgers going to the Las Vegas Raiders. Rodgers wanted to be a Raider. Devontae was recruiting him. The Raiders and the Green Bay Packers could not come to an agreement. The Rodgers deal isn't finalized. The Jimmy Garoppolo deal isn't finalized. I mean, to me, as far as I'm concerned, anything can still happen. I still believe that Garoppolo is going to be the Raiders quarterback. I still think the most likely thing for this organization is that Jimmy G is the guy under center. But does that contract change? If Garoppolo does fail his physical and he wants a different contract because the Raiders aren't willing to offer him as much money, does that change Garoppolo's interest in joining Las Vegas? If all quarterbacks are still up for grabs, could Las Vegas potentially pursue Lamar Jackson that's still on the board? I'll say, I really thought Garoppolo, 100%, stamp it, put it down, pen and paper, was a done deal. But we do have to be able to look ourselves in the mirror and say, for Garoppolo to show up to Allegiant Stadium, for him to have every intention possible, because the only reason why you show up in the new league year is to sign a contract, for you to be willing to sign that contract and for you not to show up to the media, That's a story for it not to go down. And for the Raiders media to be unwilling to comment on why it's happening, there's something fishy going on. And we always know, man. You see that? Where there is smoke, there's sometimes some fire. I don't know if there's any fire around this situation, but it's weird. It's weird to me nonetheless. I'm going to do my best today, tomorrow, to keep you guys up to date on the Garoppolo situation. It does sound like right now the plan is for the Raiders to have Jimmy G come back into Allegiant Stadium, for them to talk again, for them to get the deal signed, and for Jimmy G to speak tomorrow. All of those are still the top plan for the Raiders. But I felt like, you know what, my job here as the Raiders Report host was to talk about this story because it's strange. And then the other part is this. Josh McDaniels, Dave Ziegler, do you agree with this statement? Anything is possible with those guys. Anything is possible with Ziegs, and anything is possible with McDaniels. So until Garoppolo signs that dotted line, until he pops up to that Raiders media and says, I'm the new Raiders starting quarterback, there's always going to be that little shred of doubt in me wondering, is he actually going to be the Raiders quarterback? Continue to watch in here on the Raiders Report for more updates. Hit that subscribe button, turn on those notifications. This is absolutely a story to monitor.